foreign ancestry, possibly a Hungarian grandmother. Put them all together and they spelled a lot of cold cream sales and a lot of excellent ideas, which John J. Malone preferred to keep strictly to himself. Plus, of course, the probability, if all went well, of a wonderful extra super triple colossal television spectacular for Jake Justice to produce. Again he hummed a bar or two of the tune which had been running through his head ever since his unhappy waking. Where had he heard it? He tried hard to remember, probably in some thoroughly disreputable place the night before. A voice behind him said, "I take it you're John J. Malone?" And the little lawyer jumped almost guiltily, got up fast, and turned around. It was not the voice that had haunted him, heard softly over the radio, nor was it the high-pitched twang that had yipped at him nastily over the telephone earlier that morning to make the appointment. No, it was just a voice, Midwest Prairie with a faint touch of Chicago overtones, a serviceable voice, to be used solely for the purposes of communication. The woman who went with it was also serviceable, and as Midwestern as an acre of corn. If she had been the moving, smiling original of the dream Delora Deanne he knew so well, that would have been one thing. If she had been phenomenally and spectacularly deformed and ugly, that would have been another, and in its way every bit as enthralling. But the woman who stood before him was neither. Her face was just that, a face, with the usual components of eyes, nose, and mouth, put there in their proper places for the ordinary and useful purposes of eating, breathing, and seeing. Even her eyebrows, usually such helpfully expressive clues to emotion, said nothing. They were just there, and that was all there was to it. Her practical-looking hands were clean and wore a standard-color nail polish. Her medium-sized feet appeared to be free from corns and bunions. Her figure was not overweight or underweight, but just standard size, and covered with a medium blue dress that might have cost $6.99 in Goldblatt's basement, or $750 at a salon, and probably had cost $49.50 at Marshall Field's. Her hair, dressed neatly in no particular style, was just plain hair color. She was neither likable nor disagreeable, friendly nor hostile. Malone did his best to look gallant and said, "You are—" "Hazel Swackhammer," the woman said, and sat down. "I am also Delora Deanne." Malone sat down, too, reminding himself firmly that more than just an introduction to the model who posed for Delora Deanne, for there had to be one, was at stake. There was his office rent to be considered. There was Jake's still unborn TV show. He settled down to making friends with the brains behind the beauty. "My dear lady," he took out the cigar again, decided the hell with the green and pink walls, and lighted it. He murmured something flattering about being extremely pleased and looked around for a place to put his burned match. The lusciously soft carpet was a mossy green, engagingly sprinkled with pale pink and white posies, and he finally put the match in his vest pocket. "My dear lady," he began again, in what grateful clients had complimented as the perfect sell-side manner, "what seems to be your difficulty?" "Scandal," Hazel Swackhammer said. "Someone is trying to involve Delora Deanne in scandal, and consequently ruin me." 2 more lines of the song came back to him. "But she stole my bottom dollar, and she scandalized my name." She told him the detailed story of Delora Deanne, from a recipe for homemade lotion learned from a New England grandmother through the mixing of ingredients in the back room of a small-town Iowa drugstore, to the perfumed perfection of the little marble building that was the heart of Delora Deanne Cosmetics. It was a businesslike story, told in a businesslike manner. Malone admired it, but he thought wistfully of the stories told on the radio and on the printed page, and that, with any luck, Jake would tell on television. A story that had its beginnings in the dreamy South. Magnolias and moonlight, soft whisperings, and an occasional glimpse of shadowy, secret gardens. The little lawyer caught himself on the verge of a quiet sigh, then mentally kicked himself for being a sentimental slob, and told himself firmly to stick to business. "This," Hazel Swackhammer said. She handed him a small batch of clippings from newspaper columns, hinting that an unnamed beauty, very obviously Delora Deanne, was up to a lot of nonsense which, if not actually nefarious, illegal, and quite probably unchaste, was at least highly indiscreet. "But," she said, "that is not all." Malone felt a sudden and uncomfortable impulse to flee. Client or no client, Jake or no Jake, Delora or no Delora. For days afterward he claimed to have had a premonition all along. "That," she went on, "is not the awful thing that made me send for you this morning." She rose, and Malone rose with her. She caught his last yearning glance toward the picture and said, "Of course, everyone does, but you shall." Malone blinked and said, "Perhaps an introduction." "Simplest thing in the world," she said. "Advertising conferences go on."